Alright, hey guys, this is Bezmor. I'm bringing you a TW video. I know it's been forever since I put out a video. It's because I went on vacation to Japan for like a month, and then nothing happened for a month. And then I came back and school has been insanely busy, so I haven't had time to like do much gaming. Okay, that's a lie. I make time for gaming, but not very much PW. So, anyways, I recorded our last TW because it was a TW against a faction that could actually fight us, and it was kind of lengthy, and it was fun. So, anyways, I thought I'd just post this and do some commentary on it. So, anyways, this is right at the start of the TW, up on the B lane. This TW, my squad was between B lane offense and catapult killing duties, so we were on B pushing a lot, but sometimes we had to go left or right depending on the situation. So anyways, as you can see here, just pushing up the left hill, I'm playing really cautious because I'm super squishy. Since the new card system and Numa system and all this stuff came out, and Primal World, like I didn't, it came out when I was on vacation, so I'm like really far behind everyone. So as a result of that, I play really careful because, you know, basically everybody, when you're a one shot to everybody, you have to just play it safe. But anyways, I'm still pushing up, still trying to just call targets for my squad because they're all well geared and can usually handle stuff. And then when I do stupid stuff like get stunned out in the middle of the open, usually my squad saves me because they're cool like that. So as you can see, I probably should have died right there, but panic AD, and then normally when you use an AD in TW situations, it's because you're panicking and you're like, I am gonna die. So my advice for a lot of people is when you AD, it's only 5 seconds, so you gotta get out of there before you die. Now, I didn't get out of there, but it's because I looked around and I was like, yeah, there's nothing that's really gonna kill me anyway, so I'm not gonna bother running backwards. But normally, if you're burning your AD, you need to get out of there because unless you chain it into something, you're gonna go down. So moving right along here, I'm attacking a Sin because I don't like that Sins kill my clerics because that's just rude. You shouldn't kill my clerics. That's wrong. And by the way, there's two things you're going to see. One is random screen freezes because when I tab to my alt buffer, the screen freezes, so that's what that was right there. And the other one is like sometimes when you run fraps for a really long time, that happens. So yeah, please ignore those. I'm sorry about that. But anyways, as I was saying, here our squad got called to kill catapults on the left path, which is why I immediately dropped what I was doing. And like the faster you respond to things like that is so important. Like you're working with other people, assist attacking, like the faster you can switch targets and work together is the faster that you're gonna get stuff killed, and that's just good. So make sure when you're in your squad, even if you feel like you can get a kill, if somebody's calling for an assist on something better, you gotta switch. Now when we come to killing catapults, our squad pretty much knows what to do. You go straight for the clerics because the clerics are the only thing keeping the catapults alive, in all honesty. So we immediately like call out, there's like 2 clerics, I'm giving targets to the Sin so he can jump on one. The BM's just running straight in and going on him. And we go straight to the support, and then once the Sin has done his main job of killing some of the clerics, he actually hightails it backwards to catch up to the catapults and then CCs them for days while we finish cleaning up extra support, whether that's BMs, archers, whatever. And so our Vino Sin combo is pretty much just holding their catapults in place while we take care of all the other things that have to be done before we can kill the cats. And then of course we all just turn around and wreck the cats because by that point it's a barb who's been purged, who's already CC'd. It's like free kills waiting to happen. So pretty standard stuff here. And with the new Numa and card system, you can be really tanky, especially when you're full buffed. So that's kind of what's important, I think, for DDs in the current like meta view of the whole thing, is you just need to be tanky enough so that you can ignore people like Seekers who just hit you for 30 seconds straight and never kill you. Like you need to be tanky enough to have barbs hitting you and be able to ignore them. Seekers like that, you know, you need to be able to ignore them so you can stay focused on your job, which for me in that certain moment was killing the cats. And then when the time comes, you turn around and you blow them away because what else are you gonna do? It's free kills. But that's kind of a baseline, and when you're fully buffed, you can generally do this. But when you're not fully buffed, you really should not do what I just did there and like stand and tank that Seeker. Like if I had no buffs, I probably would have vectored the Seeker, holy pathed way backwards so that there'd be like people between me and him, and then turned around to try and do my job then. But when you're full buffed, you're usually tanky enough to just sit there and eat a lot of hits. And especially if you've got a more important job to do, like killing a cat, that's what you should do. So yeah, if you're wondering about how to shard or something along these lines, the idea is you just want to make yourself tanky enough and having enough HP basically to absorb those hits when you're buffed. When you're not buffed, there's nothing you can do. You're going to get one shot by half the people anyways, so don't worry about it. Anyways, back to B lane. We're here, we're pushing. I switched immediately because I heard an HF was coming down, and this is how you properly do an HF. You see the BM goes in, I AoE on top of the HF, the wizard was channeling Blade Tempest, there was already a Vino AoE as well. Like, you go in, if your BM calls an HF, you gotta follow up because that's so powerful. And this right here is how you don't HF. You'll notice the guy comes in, blows his Apoth, stuns one person, drops an HF, and there's nobody behind him. Like, those are like what Nirvana stage 2 axes. Like, your HF is going to do absolutely nothing with that kind. I mean, you're attacking like a full rank 9 squad with Nirvana axes. You got an HF, nobody's following you up. You just wasted 2 sparks, a 30-second cooldown, and your Apoth as well, and you got nothing out of it. Whereas on our side, when we dropped the HF, everybody scattered or died. So anyways, there's just a tip for all the BMs out there. You got to work with your squad. An HF is not something you should do. And the reason that my screen just cut out right there is because we got sent to left path again, and we sat there for 5 minutes and nothing came, and so we're like, screw this. So we came back to B lane, and this is an example of what not to do. Fly over the entire enemy faction. When you move between paths, what you should try to do is communicate with your squad leads to figure out where on the path the enemy is or your faction is, so that you can try to meet up where your people are instead of flying over like I just did, because had they been smart, they probably would have just looked up and killed me right away. But my BM, being as crazy as he is, again runs in, drops an HF. I immediately come forward, try to follow up again, and as you can see, when he HFs, everybody runs because they know I'm following up, the wizard's probably following up, the Vino's following up, and you see that AoE that happens when you get grouped up. So basically the idea is, get into a right position and then work with your squad to just try and clear as much out as possible. Thinking you can do anything by yourself in a TW is pretty much fail. There's no way around it, especially with how tanky people can get these days with the increase in stats. So bottom line is all about teamwork and being in the right spot and abusing it. And again here, just looking for priority targets, see the assassin, I'm like, yeah, I want to kill this assassin because, I mean, it's a squishy target because it's an APS build. And at the same time, it's like, it's still dangerous, even though you can have Bramble, because they'll just like drop an Apoth and APS somebody anyways. So I always kill Sins, Vinos, and Archers are the, I think, probably highest priority target you can possibly have in a TW, because unlike a Vino, when a Vino comes in to purge you, it's so obvious, they're coming straight at you, and you can blow a cooldown if you really want to hold on to your buffs. An Archer, you can never predict when it happens, so the way I treat Archers is that I assume the bow is always going to proc purge, and accordingly try not to get shot. And that's generally, usually a pretty good... I found in my experience that Archers are always lucky. That's just the way you should go about it. So anyways, here we're moving back to some catapult killing duties. I'm again throwing my diminished vigor because it's a catapult barb. There's probably one of the tankier targets around. There's not something better to put it on. From time to time, however, you will see me use empowered vigor on myself in this particular TW, and that's because since I still have full base buffs, if I can stay alive, it's key to maintaining those buffs for as long as possible. And the longer I have those buffs, the way more effective I am, because I'm really tanky. I'm like, I had 20k PDEF when I started, but then I hit something and it went down to 18k, but still 18k PDEF and like 25k MDEF, that's pretty solid for a class that has no natural physical defense increases and is AA. So the idea is, if I'm in a situation where we're kind of back and forthing between like enemy archers and wizards and stuff, and our DDs, and we're just kind of fighting back and forth trying to kill each other, I'll put empowered vigor on myself to try and increase my survivability. While as obviously when we're going for catapult barbs, it's you drop diminished vigor on targets that you want to get killed. Anyways, this is why APS is kind of stupid. You will proc purify, and if you're APSing somebody that's fizzy immune, that's pro. But anyways, as you can see here, I'm doing a lot of kiting and back and forth, and again, that comes back to being really squishy. And this right here is like, when I see a barrage on me, my immediate reaction is get out of range. I don't want to accidentally get anybody else in my squad hit by the barrage damage. I don't want to hurt anybody in my faction by having Purify procs. So I just try to get out of range as fast as possible if it's something I can't shut down. And if you look back at that moment, the archer had an AD up, so I couldn't like insta-stun it or something like that. So my reaction is just distance yourself, get out, etc., etc., come back once you have a good opportunity and once you've got more support. And at this moment in time, as you can see, the left hill of the path is pretty empty. We've been killing everything that's come at us, and so half our squad is actually on the right hill trying to help them get pushed up as well. Well, I stayed here with the wizard, and we're just maintaining a medium amount of pressure to try and, you know, we don't want to, like, if your hills get unbalanced, what happens is you'll get really badly flanked by one side or the other, or you'll have a bunch of people on one hill doing nothing while the other one is, like, in chaos. So there's, you know, it's really a judgment call. Even if your squad has been assigned a left hill or a right hill, you know, you don't want to be pushing way far ahead of anything, because I mean, especially if you're ahead of the catapults and there's like no reason for you to be up that far, you're just risking yourself getting purged or killed or losing all your chi or something stupid like that. So anyways, you should always keep that in mind, is you want to keep your hills as balanced as possible and move between them accordingly. Now here, when they're DDs or frontlining, you see they don't have any BMs or barbs or seekers like up near my faction, so we just get to free like lay spells down on them, and that's really an advantageous situation. And the only thing you have to be careful about, of course, in those is getting purged. Now here, when you see people, your front line gets into their DDs, that's when you can do crazy stupid stuff like holy pathing forward to try and get kills. And as you can see here, my Vino purged the archer, and immediately we follow up. I hit him, the wizard hit him, I think the BM and the archer were also hitting him as well. And it's like you focus on that purge, because if a purge isn't blocked and you're following up as if it was an HF, that person is guaranteed dead. Like, I don't care if it's a barb, a BM, a purge target is so squishy that you should treat your Vino's purges like HFs and just follow up and insta-give that person, because it's free kills, literally. The only thing they can do really is APOTH or AD, and even so, if they do that, then you get a pretty long cooldown out of it for free. And at this point, our catapults are now attacking their towers, so, and as you can see, the left hill is virtually empty, so I'm switching my focus towards the catapults because I want to kill anything that's possibly hitting them. And I can see I'm taking a little bit of damage, but I'm like, I'm just going to try and tank it and keep trying to support the catapults, because the longer the catapults are up, the more objectives we take, the further we get. Now, at this point, there was some miscommunications, and we had to turn around and go and kill their catapults, which is, again, you know, that's just, there's so much key communication that has to happen in a TW to go right, and that's not just within your squad, it's within the headquarters and whatnot. So don't blame your squad or squad leader when there's miscommunications. It's not always their fault, especially when headquarters is chaotic. And you know, as long as you react as fast as soon as you hear it, that's all you can do. And so we turn around, we immediately come back, destroy all the barbs, and I tabbed a catapult because I am the best catapult tabber NA. Yeah, don't tab catapults. I was trying to hit the cleric. But anyways, so, you know, we come back, we kill them, and then we go right back to applying our pressure, because if you let the pressure up on a lane, they push up to your towers take damage, and, you know, the more infrastructure you lose in the territory war, the worse off you're going to be. You know, it's sometimes in like a 3-hour-long TW, it would have been okay if we had been able to keep our outer towers up, but the fact that we lost our outer towers meant that we had to fight, you know, outside of our base, and fighting right outside your base is actually a lot more laggy than fighting in the middle of the lanes, because everybody, like everybody from one of the two factions, is going to be in that area. Whereas when you're fighting on the lane, you've got people on side lanes, you know, there's actually a lot less crowded, and so just the lag factor difference between fighting in your base versus on the lane is huge, and that means you want to keep your outside infrastructure as long as possible. So anyways, here I know exactly what this archer is going to do. Like, I'm reading his mind, I know he wants to shoot me, he wants to try and get a purge proc, so I'm baiting him backwards closer so that he puts himself out of position. And as you can see, my BM, as soon as he chased me, he was on the archer. He's like, yeah, if this archer is going to step forward, I'm going to make sure he pays for it. And the archer responded correctly by saying, oh shit, I gotta run, and he did. And that's pretty much when, you know, if I can't kill a target immediately, like I don't think I can one-shot them, then I can oftentimes just kite back, drag them into positions that make it advantageous for my faction to try and kill them. And so here, this is just a standard push, and as soon as that left tower dropped, there's no binding debuff that we have to worry about. So my entire squad was like, yeah, let's go dive, go as far forward as you can, press the advantage because they no longer have that tower. So I'm kind of ignoring some people and moving forward because really the wizards and the archers are the ones we want to get. Because archers will kill everything from our clerics to our DDs to, you know, the archers are broken. And the wizards are killing our catapults. Well, they should be. They aren't, but that's just part of being a bad wizard, I guess. So anyways, we move up, focus the right targets again. I mean, it's pretty much the same rinse and repeat. It's being in the right place, working together with your squad. And it's all about the cooperation between squads as well, because, you know, when we get control of these forward hills, like right outside their base, if our catapults aren't up there yet, pushing forward even more is actually just bad. You want to hold the position and just, you know, kind of set up a siege scenario where you're not close enough to get hit by the towers, but their DDs are still coming out a little bit to try and fight you so that you can try and get some poke kills in, maybe snipe some people off, depending on the situation. And then once your catapults are in position, you can, as a faction, push forward and try to get the objective, you know, with as little death as possible. And here again, targeting the wizard just because I don't want to have any of our catapults get randomly blown up by some crazy geared wizard. I don't even know if that guy has good gear or not, but that's the theory. And as you can see here, I'm assisting off the BM. That's the only reason I'm targeting a BM in the first place, is because I was assisting off an HF call. And here, when the HF, when you're assisting off an HF, you need to obviously assist off your Blade Master is the guaranteed way to make sure you're getting a good target, but at the same time you should also make sure that the target he's targeting doesn't immediately holy path backwards, because then you'll get dragged really far. Oh, and this is where I screen lagged and I couldn't HF in. I mean, I couldn't AD in time and I lost my buffs. I was very, very sad about that. But yeah, like I was saying, when you're assisting on an HF, not only do you want to assist on it and try to get as many people locked in that AoE as possible, but you need to make sure that the target you're assisting onto isn't gonna, like, you know, distance shrink backwards, or archers who can double leap backwards. You want to try and get something that's just central that you can AoE off of. Especially as a psychic, you've got 2 free AoEs, you've got a vector that's a really fast channel. Red Tide, if you have the chi, is a fast, high, you know, relatively high damage AoE that you should definitely consider using. And just make sure you don't get dragged in too far. And this is how you do not purge on a Vino, because I'm pretty sure that's the Vino that just purged me like 30 seconds ago. And she purged me again when I had literally only myself buff. I mean, that's a complete waste of a purge. You look at my squad, like, I don't know, 7 out of 9 other members are fully buffed still. Like, why would you purge somebody who's already been purged? Like, that's... yeah, I'm still not sure why they did that. But anyways, as you can see, my playstyle now that I've been purged is completely different. I'm actually using White Voodoo, and I am not trying to do anything. I'm actually waiting for a chance for my cleric to get me some rebuffs, and waiting for my BM to be dead and come back and buff me, because I don't want to just get randomly one shot. I'm still full chi, which I know I'm doing a bad job this TW of actually using my chi, but that's because psychics only have like 1 good chi costing skill. So here I finally got my cleric buffs back, so I was like, alright, I'll go black, and then I immediately Psy-Willed right there, because I knew if that archer tabbed and I was only having cleric buffs, I would just get instantly blown up. And he decided to run, which is fine, and so I just put some skills down, and at this point it's kind of a regroup time. I'm still not fully buffed in anyway, so I'm going to be playing very cautious, you know, not trying to overextend or push an advantage too much, because that will get you killed. And getting you killed isn't exactly a bad thing, because I mean you're gonna die eventually in a GW most of the time, but the longer you stay alive, the more you can do. So here we're at this point, our catapults are now pushing up on their base, and we need to try and get in and support. So I'm focusing down this archer because I don't want our catapult clerics to go down. And this particular TW, they had like 1 assassin, I felt like. So I wasn't too worried about covering our clerics from assassins, but I knew you gotta watch out for the archers, and then once the archers are taken care of, you can worry about the wizards and the psychics who are gonna be on your catapults. And here I'm playing again back still, because I know I only have cleric buffs, and the tower debuffs are so strong, and with the lag that you can get, as you can see, there's a pretty significant FPS drop as I'm near the base, because there's so much stuff going on right outside the towers. And here again, I'm just focusing that sin because A, out of position, B, it was trying to kill my cleric. And C, I don't like assassins. I know I'm a psychic and we're like Tideborn, there should be, no, just screw that class. Anyways, so again, when I see a Vino, especially like in my priority list, it's like, all right, our catapults are on tower, Vinos approaching the catapults must die, archers trying to kill our clerics must die, and then wizards trying to kill our catapults must die. Everything else, barbs, BMs, seekers, psychics, it's like, screw, I don't even care. I'm just kill those three things, protect the catapults, keep them alive as long as possible, and try not to die. And now here again, we got called to left path, and this was in a really early call. Like, we heard the catapult was going, and so our entire squad just like rushed as fast as we could to left, and what we did here was we caught the support en route to the catapult. The catapult was already ahead, I think, and so we rush over and we see the two clerics that are supposed to be healing that catapult here, and we catch them before they can even make it to their own towers. And so we immediately wipe them, because that means our Sin, who's already hightailed it way back to catch up with the first catapult, is just going to have to lock him down for a couple seconds, and then we're going to catch up, help kill the catapult, and that's pretty much it. And so here, as you can see, we wipe the support, and we go and we kill the one catapult. And then we go back to B lane, which is what you see now, because I figured watching us kill one unbuffed cat was really boring, and you don't want to watch that. So here, as before when we were on B lane, we were pushed up, we were trying to take those outer towers. Now as you can see, we're coming back to B. Our catapults are in the staging area, they're not quite all the way up yet. And so at this point, we are gathering our forces kind of in this front area to try and make an offensive push. And again, focusing targets, assisting as much as possible. And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. Our cats haven't quite reached the point where they want to go all in, so we're not trying to overextend ourselves too far. We want to just stay on these hills and poke at people. So there, as you can see, I triple sparked and went into an IG just because I was lagging really bad and I had somebody on top of me, and I was like, panic, just hit whatever I can to stay alive. And then I immediately dropped an AoE, and the 4 people it hit, they kind of like started to disperse, and that opens it up for Blade Masters and other classes to go in, which is of course what we need to start an offensive push. Is you need to try and force some of those people away. And so if you burn 3 sparks and it forces some people away, then heck, you did your job, and it was totally worth it. But anyways, so as you can see, all our DDs are kind of on the hill or kind of back in this lane, just trying to throw out as much stuff as we can to kind of clear the path for our catapults, so that when they go in, they don't have to burn their AD or their IG or anything, you know, big just to get to the towers. They'll be able to get to the towers and then start cycling their survivals for maximum survivability. So anyways, I'm still playing pretty careful. I got my BM buff back. We didn't have an actual barb. We just had a barb buffer. So yeah, I'm still careful because my HP pool is pretty low and I don't want to get randomly critted, because that's pretty much the #1 cause of death is getting randomly crit. And as I saw the HF go down, and this is kind of what I was talking about. The target that I was on was already running back, so I was going to get dragged really far. So I just picked another target and immediately threw down some AoEs to try and get some extra pressure. It didn't do much of anything, but the fact that I followed up meant had there been a good target there, at least it would have done something. And as you can see here, these AoEs, when you get to the gate, the AoEs really start to make a difference because everybody's getting really close together. And I think that's probably where psychics are helpful, is the fact that you can do so much AoE without too much chi cost and pretty decent cooldowns. Additionally, if you have the upgraded version of Sage Glacial Shards with the new Primordial upgrade, it's an 8-second movement seal, and the skill itself has an 8-second cooldown, which means you can almost get 100% CC lock, provided they proc every time. Because of the cast time, you can't permalock them like 100%, like back to back, just spam it, but it's like a 1-second delay, and with TW lag, you pretty much can like really lock people down with the new Sage Glacial. As for the new Aqua Impact, it's really lame. It's a 700, I think the damage increase is approximately 700 flat damage increase, that's all. The slow percent might go up a little bit, and they took the cast time down by about 0.3 seconds, so it's there, but it's really not that big a deal. But the new Sage Glacial, definitely awesome. As for the new Zenning skill that they gave psychics, I'm kind of indifferent. I personally don't like it. I have it, and I kind of regret having it. I miss my old Aqua Cannon, to be honest. But anyways, that's just my ranting about the new skills. I haven't gotten the new Spirit Blast yet because I've only been able to reawaken once because of my school schedule. However, I think that one is actually definitely worth getting because it's guaranteed chi recovery, I think, is what it's supposed to do. And as for the telekinesis sand trap skill, like, both those skills are useless already, and like putting them together, it's double useless. Like, don't even bother. Oh, and there's my first death of the TW at 30 minutes or whatever. So anyways, I'm gonna end it here because that's that's probably, you're probably hating my voice right about now. But as you can see, it's all about cooperation, timing, positioning, and just playing it smart. So here's a quick clip of this assassin in our squad. This is how you solo tower dive, and I thought I would show that off. He pretty much just went in all by himself underneath 2 towers, killed some people, and got out alive. So anyways, I hope you guys learned something, and I'll see you next time.